Hey everybody, BigBlackHatMan here, and today...
I've had it with you!
Okay... Well, what are you gonna do about having had it with me?
I'm gonna kill you!
Well, you can't. You can't kill me. We're the same person. You see, we're two halves of the same person, sorting through a complicated issue on complicated subjects, so you can't kill me without killing yourself.
I know, but I can't take it. I know what you have planned for today.
Oh, well, I see. Yeah, I think I know your issue, but I tell you what. Let us, or more appropriately, me. Yeah, it's actually just me. Go through this review, and we'll reserve judgment to the end.
Okay. But if this goes the way I think it's gonna go, it's all over.
Fine, whatever. So today we're looking at number 5 on the AFI's Top 10 Westerns list, Red River on BigBlackHatMan vs. AFI!
You're going to Missouri with 10,000 head. I want you all to know what you're up against. We got 1,000 miles to go. 10 miles a day will be good. 15 will be luck. There'll be no quitting along the way. Not by me and not by you.
So what is Red River about? Well, it's not actually about the Red River. It's actually about Tom Dunson, played by John Wayne. Dunson is on a wagon train going west when he decides to split away and go to Texas to raise cattle. And he leaves his lady love behind. And then they're all killed by Indians. Kind of a heartwarming start. But one kid survives, Matt Garth. And Matt Garth just happens to have a cow. And Tom Dunson lost his cow, so now they can have their own herd. But Dunson tells Garth since he's a kid he's not really a partner in the ranch, not yet, not until he earns it. Which the kid says is fair, which actually isn't since it's a possession thing. Not really important. Then 14 years passed, which included the Civil War. And our exposition dumped in a couple minutes. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But anyway, the 14 years passed and Tom Dunson's broke. Because the cattle market's dried up. They don't really explain why, they just say that he is. And so he's got to take his cattle to Missouri, where people have money. And so he starts putting in a huge cattle drive. And becomes a tyrant. Right away. Becomes, evil. Because his legs hurt or something. I don't know, they don't really explain it. He just becomes evil. It's kind of silly, actually. But Matt Garth stops him. Yeah, stops him from becoming evil and hanging people. And takes the cattle to Kansas, because Kansas is much safer than Missouri. Because there's ruffians in Missouri, and there's none in Kansas, which that doesn't seem right either, given the 19th century. But there's a Civil War, so maybe there are no ruffians in Kansas yet. Don't worry about that either. And the whole climax is based around whether Tom Dunson will take revenge on Matt Garth. And there's also Cherry Valance, who's a gunfighter, and he's important to the story, sort of. He's in it. He kind of waves dicks at both Garth and Dunson, but don't worry about that. There's also some other characters. There's Walter Brennan. He plays a part. I don't remember what his name is because it's Walter Brennan. Who cares? It's Walter Brennan. That's pretty much it. There's a cattle drive. Remember that part of it. Yeah. So the reasons this one are a classic are, well, they can be summed up in a few things. It's an early cattle drive film with a big, wide expanse, lots of beautiful shots, lots of cattle flowing up in a big line, with a huge all-star cast, which included John Wayne. Yeah, I know John Wayne's in it, but so is, Montgomery Clift, and Walter Brennan, and Harry Carey Sr., and Harry Carey Jr. Yeah, but it's a big performance for John Wayne. Yeah, I know that, but this is also one of Montgomery Clift's earliest performances of his career. In fact, this was his very first film, though because of some delay in the release, it wasn't the first one people saw him in, but it's also a big deal for him. Ugh, seriously. Just tell everyone about John Wayne. Okay, John Wayne. Here's the thing about John Wayne. I mentioned when we talked about Stagecoach in 1939, he had moved up in the world. He went from being a B-level actor to being an A-level actor. With that said, most critics didn't feel like John Wayne could act. Even though he had ascended, more or less, to the top billing of movie actors, he wasn't considered a top-level talent by most critics. This film kind of changed that. When it came out in 1948, people saw a very sincere performance. John Wayne had to play a bad guy a little bit in this film, which he hadn't really done before, and he does very well. John Ford, fairly famously, was quoted as saying, "I didn't know the big son of a bitch could act." So people were surprised to find out that John Wayne actually had some real acting chops, that he had actually picked things up during his time in the 30s in the B films and in the subsequent years in the A films, and could really turn in a very nice performance, and that's what he did here. So this film gets remembered a lot because it's John Wayne's first big performance, and he actually plays a bad guy at times in the film. Though his role is more anti-hero, more back and forth on whether he's a bad guy or not. Regardless, that's why this is a classic, because it's John Wayne's first major, true thespian performance. To put it simply, I like this movie. It has a very nice plot.
Yeah, but the pacing is just a little uneven, and the beginning feels kind of tacked on, and the end's a little unsatisfying.
True, the script went through a lot of rewrites, so it's kind of all over the place. But the camera work is quite beautiful.
At times, but that's the scenery shots. Some of the close-ups, they kind of lose the cinematography.
Yes, some scenes do look much better than others. That's true. It is a little bit hit and miss on the when it's good, it's great, but there are times when it's not particularly good. On the other hand, almost all the acting's solid.
Yeah, but no matter how solid the acting was, it couldn't save some of the characters. I just don't feel like they were written correctly. The gunfighter Cherry Valance is the best example. He's in the whole film, but he doesn't seem to matter much and is dismissed pretty quickly. I mean, really quickly.
Well, darn. I agree with you on all that. I do like this movie, but here's the thing. This film had production issues, major production issues. It was filmed in 1946 and didn't come out till 1948. That's 2 years it sat on the shelf. They blame being sued by Howard Hawks for similarities to his film The Outlaw, but that's not quite good enough. The script also went through several rewrites and several recastings. Cary Grant was originally supposed to play Cherry Valance, and when he couldn't play it, they notched the character down. Then when the actor who did play the part turned out to be a drunk, they notched it down even further. So you can tell when you watch the film at one time it was supposed to be an important character, but it became less and less so as it went along. Also, there are plot lines they start with jokes and things. There's a part with the Native American and Walter Brennan's teeth that they have, but it's sort of forgotten halfway through the film, and it never really mattered. This film has issues, and the pacing is a big one. I'll just warn you now, there are times when this film is slow. There are also times when they feel like they're throwing out exposition at an unbelievable rate. When the 14 years pass from the opening scenes to the real start of the film, honestly, that first 20 minutes is almost inconsequential. They could have almost summed it up in a few seconds. It feels like they just exposition dump on you. Tom Dunson immediately explains to you everything that's happened in the 14 years in about 2 minutes. Yeah, they took 20 minutes to give you these guys' background in these virtually pointless scenes. Then for the actual setup of the plot, 2-minute explanation, here it is. That's frustrating. I don't know that all film buffs or watchers or whatever could articulate this point, but it's the problem with the film, the pacing. So though I enjoy this film, and it is a well-shot film with some really good performances, it's just got issues. So I'll warn you going in. If you want to watch this film, be my guest. It's a pretty good film. But man, some of the issues are really hard to get by. So does it deserve its spot? Well, I'm going to be honest with you, no.
No! You said no! I know you were going to say no! You have defiled John Wayne again! Where is it? I'm going to shoot you! Ah!
Looking for this?
Oh! How did you... Wait, how did you get that?
That's actually a really good question. It sort of also begs the question how you were actually going to shoot me.
I don't know what to think.
I think a lot of people feel that way now.
So here's the deal, guys. This is a good film. It is a marquee performance by Wayne. It is brilliant on his part. He played a villain for the first time in this film. After playing a pretty much white-hatted hero for all of his career, here you get to see a dark streak from Wayne and a layered performance. It's wonderful by his standards at the time. He did better as he went along, but this was the performance that showed people he really had acting chops. And with that said, this film has issues that I've mentioned. The pacing, the story, the characters. A lot of things just don't come together. There's a love interest played by Joanna Drew, who I did not mention at all in the summary, who I did not mention at all up to this point because it's not important, except for she helps with the dopey climax. And man, the climax is my biggest issue with this film. It's bad. But I don't want to give it away to you guys because I don't like giving away the climax of films. And so my biggest issue with this film sort of has to be kept to myself. But trust me, when you get to the end of this film, if you think about it for more than a second, you'll be as frustrated as I was. So though this film has a very important place historically in the career of John Wayne, but John Wayne alone, it's also the last film released with Harry Carey Sr. in it, but that's a sort of a different sort of thing. It doesn't really stand up very well as a standalone film. In fact, Howard Hawks, the director of this film, and John Wayne did a much better film. They did Rio Bravo. Rio Bravo was so good, they did it twice more. And both those films are pretty good. They're not as good as Bravo, but Rio Bravo is really, really good. It's a much better put together, much better paced, much better plotted. The characters are better fleshed out. It's what Red River should have been. And sure, it was 10 years later that the two guys released it, but they clearly got their act together much better and released a much better film. So why this film's not acknowledged and Red River is simply because of the historical significance of River. But I've already said with Stagecoach, that's not enough for me. If you're going to set that criteria of historical significance, great, but they didn't do that. And so I'm going to say this film doesn't belong. Rio Bravo should have been in its place. That's my biggest issue here. Much the way that Stagecoach was not John Ford and John Wayne's best work, this is not Howard Hawks and John Wayne's best work. I don't know how to put it other than that, without giving away the climax part, which frustrates me to really no end. This film has issues, and so it's easy to nitpick it off this list for me. Though it's good, I wouldn't call it top 10 all time. So, I hope you guys like the opinion. Thanks for watching. Happy trails. Number 4 will come up soon, and watch out for those rough patches. I don't know either. Today we're looking at number 5 on the AFI's Top 10 Westerns list. I got a gal in Kalamazoo. One of the first really warm days all year. I am sweating in my costume. I can't wait to quit filming, turn off the lights, and open up the windows. But the reason I'm talking to you guys right now is because I'm going to be off for a week. I'm not going to be here to do a video next week. I'm going to be on a little vacation, and I won't be available to do the video, so it's going to be 2 weeks till number 4. But I hope you're patient, and we'll watch it then. Thanks, guys.